It's good to be with you again. It seems like it's been a while. And thank you for coming. We're going to return to Proverbs 18. And we're going to start at verse 14 is where we left off. And I do want to say before we get into these scriptures, saints, we've got to get a better handle on how we're handling stress. We've got to do a better job and I'm not saying that these aren't stressful times, because they are. We're having to make a lot of decisions, and some of us are constantly being asked, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? What are you doing concerning this or that? And I'm sure sometimes you don't want to answer, depending on who's asking, who's inquiring. But the Most High is all of our source. We got to remember that. Now, we that are here, we are vessels, and we're willing vessels. But you're not the answer to everybody's situation. And sometimes in wanting to help, you can almost make yourself sick. Now, I'm not saying don't help. But sometimes we can go overboard. And I'm not saying this once again like I'm some authority on the Most High. I don't know beans about him. I'm trying to learn, and I don't want to give you the impression that my relationship with him is any more special than yours, because it's not. But he's the answer to the dilemmas in each one of our lives. And, in trying to help, in trying to be of assistance, remember that. I mean, all of us have limitations. All of us have limitations. And some of those limitations were put in our lives to protect our lives. See, sometimes we think that, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, but when barriers continue to come up, that's not always the devil. Sometimes that's the one that made you. All right, let's get into. All right, we'll read it out of a familiar translation, starting with 14. Thank you. Give an ear. The spirit of a man will sustain his infirmity, but a wounded spirit who can bear? The heart of the prudent getteth knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeketh knowledge. A man's gift maketh room for him, and bringeth him before great men. He that is first in his own cause seemeth just. I'm going to read that again. He that is first in his own cause seemeth just, but his neighbor cometh and searcheth him. The lot causes contentions to cease, and parteth between the mighty. A brother offended is harder to be won than a strong city, and their contentions are like the bars of a castle. A man's belly shall be satisfied with the fruit of his mouth, and with the increase of his lips shall he be filled. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. Whoso findeth a wife findeth a good thing, and obtaineth favor of the Lord. The poor useth entreaties, but the rich answereth roughly. We're going to hear that in another translation. A man that hath friends must show himself friendly, and there is a friend that sticketh closer than a brother. Let's hear what we just went over from another translation. 14. A person's spirit can sustain him when ill, but a crushed spirit, who can bear it? A crushed spirit. You know, we might say, you know, hurting somebody's feelings, and we tend to say, well, you know, they'll get over it. That's not a big thing. It kind of is. Now, you know, I'm not much of a proponent. I know in my own life, my feelings have deceived me. And I've made some promises based on how I was feeling at that moment. And then after I calmed down, I wish I hadn't. So you got to watch your feelings. But don't totally discount your feelings. And we should always be mindful of one another's feelings to a point. A crushed spirit. You know, even parents, a good parent knows just how much pressure to put on a child without crushing their spirit. You know, even a supervisor knows how to correct or educate somebody under their supervision without making them feel like they're dumber than dirt. See, that's a skill. Some pastors, some teachers, some professors, some politicians know how to talk to people and can correct them or get them thinking and seeing things the way they want them to see it, and not insult them. That's a skill. That's something that you get better at as you continue doing it. And here it says, but a crushed spirit, who can bear it? I mean, unfortunately, that's why some people just say, hey, that's it, I'm checking out. I can't deal with this anymore. And that's why I was saying, listen, we all want things to return to some degree anyway before all of this stuff happened. Well, it may not. I don't know. I'm not in that business either. The one that knows, it'll happen when he says change. That's the most accurate thing I could say. When he decides that things will change for the better or the other way. But that's up to him. See, that's up to him. We think it's up to us, particularly those of us that live in these United States. We really believe we're the catch me out. And we're being deceived. Now, don't get me wrong. I can't think of anywhere else that I'd rather live. That's just me. That's just me. I know some of you would love to get to the Holy Land. Some of you would love to get to the motherland. And that's fine. I'm cool right here. Considering all, I'm okay right here. But, hey, I'm not trying to sway anybody. What's good for me may not be good for you, and vice versa. And I'm not taking shots at any country. Okay, I just want that understood. A crushed spirit. I mean, saints, there was a time when the saints when we used to have differences, both parties would hurt. And we've become a little callous. Or maybe we haven't become callous, but we don't seem to show. I guess we've become inundated with so much bad news. It's just like, well, okay, well, what else is new? And we need to remain tender-hearted. We really. Now, I realize that tender-hearted people, you have all kind of people trying to get to you. And some of them don't mean you any good. But we still need to have empathy for mankind, in spite of mankind. And we kind of seem to, we just kind of seem a little hard. And I guess, after you take so many blows in life, you get a little tougher. You do. You get a little tougher. But when you see somebody, and I mean, and you can see despair in people's faces. I was leaving the place the restaurant that I was cleaning up. And I was trying to, get home so I could change and all of that. And this guy, he had all his belongings. He had like a duffel bag. I think he was a vet. And he had all his stuff set down the other part of the corner. And I was getting in my truck. And I was in a hurry. 'Cause why? I had to come to church. And my air broke in my truck, so I rolled the windows down. And I guess when I rolled the windows down, he thought that was an invitation to come over and engage in conversation. And first he asked me if I had a cigarette. And I said, no, man, I don't smoke. Now, I didn't have to tell him. Now, I said, no, brother, I don't have a cigarette. And he could see all the equipment and stuff in the truck and stuff. And he's seen me before because he kind of sets up shop. But then he said something and it slapped me right in the face. Because, see, I was in a hurry to get to church, or get home so I can come to church. You know what he said? He said, man, you got several bottles of that bottled water. May I have one? Folks, that's what it's about. I felt like 2 cents. I felt like 2 cents. Completely forgot what was the important thing, trying to get to church. Got to thinking about on the way home. That's like them when we learn about them 7 Pharisees, and the one that's so scared he gonna look at a woman, and then nature would take over. He got a knot on his head about this far because he walking the walls. Of course, I gave him the water, and I was like, man, you just missed it. You just missed it. I said, man, listen, we're in a hurry to do a bunch of religious stuff. And that's not it. And I'm putting church in that category. I am. I'm not saying you are. I said I am. He'll probably be out there tomorrow. You know. Yeah. I mean, folks, we get so caught up in our schedules and people. I'm telling you, people, I mean, yes, we are stressed out. We are. We are stressed out. But I'm telling you, there are people got it a lot worse than we do. A lot worse. I mean, that guy had everything that he had was in that duffel bag. And there's something about veterans over across the street. One time he was just laying on the sidewalk out there. You know. And I mean, don't get me wrong. He and I have had exchanges before, and yeah, I've given him money. But I tell you, today he could have bought me for 2 cents. I mean, the man looked in there and he said, man, you got several bottles of that water. Can I have a bottle of water? In other words, he's like, so-called man of God, you can't even give me a cup of water? Preacher? Which y'all know I've never said I was a preacher. But that's how it hit me. See, people are the main thing. Not your fellowship. Listen, not even your 15-cent message. But a crushed spirit, who can bear it? Well, what if I had really been in my little stinking attitude, man, I'm in a hurry, I gotta go. You know? Because sometimes we think what we gotta do is so important, and it ain't. It's not gonna make that big a difference in the world. If you don't do what you think you got to do, it's going to change zilch. Do you understand that he got 1 million of you? If you don't get it done, somebody else will get it done? Who was the prophet talking about, man, every time I open my mouth, boy, people beat on me so bad, I ain't going to say nothing. And he said, well, look, I got more than you. And sometimes, saints, I think we need to understand that he got more than just you. He got more than just me. He got more than just EWC. Because if that's all he got, he might not be God. And I'm not being disrespectful when I say that. I've said to myself, Father, if I'm the best you got, we in trouble. I mean, man, well, you know. And folks, I'm talking about myself. I'm not talking about you. Because I don't know what you're dealing with and what you're going through. I'm telling you, I missed it this morning. On my way to church. Oh, boy. A crushed spirit. I mean, man, you should have heard the way he said, well, man, can I have one of those bottled waters? I mean, I don't know how long he had been out there. I guess what I'm trying to say is, folks, don't be in such a hurry to do what you think is of the utmost importance that you forget people. Don't do that, because people are really what he's after. Not our programs. The mind of a person with discernment gets knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge. 16. A person's gift clears his way and gives him access to the great. This one. Give an ear. This is 17. Let me read it again out of the other version. It says, he that is first in his own cause seemeth just, but his neighbor cometh and searcheth him. Now listen to this. The first to state his case seems right, till the other one comes and cross-examines. See, that's why, sometimes your lawyer, depending on whether they believe you or not, you'll say, oh, I'm telling you the truth. I didn't do it. Put me on the witness stand. A wise lawyer will say, they won't tell you to your face that I think you're a liar. They just go, well, let's wait on that for a minute. He doesn't want you to get on the stand. I want to get on the stand because I want to tell my story. But what my attorney realizes is, Barry, you may get to tell your story, but the opposing attorney gets to cross-examine you. And they are so skillful, you can be telling the truth, and they know how to twist your words and make you look like a liar. See, in law, it's not who, how can I put this? Who is skillful enough to win the case will prevail. Not all the time does the right lawyer win. If any of you have ever been on a jury and you've had to listen to the testimony of people, and a person will get on there and they look real nice, and you notice people always, when they got to go to court, they look real nice, and they, some of them even look so angelic almost. And you listen to their testimony and you say, well, hey, maybe he didn't do it. Maybe she didn't do it. And see, your lawyer is skillful enough, he knows exactly what type of questions to ask you to help you tell your story. See, regular people like us, we don't even get to speak in court unless the only way we get to do it is through the advisement of our attorneys. We don't get to get up there. Well, let me just tell you. And see, saints, let me tell you, you don't get to get in there and give your testimony, church testimony. I'm sorry. That has no weight in a court of law. Now, I know that ain't fair. I know, but it's legal. Can your church testimony stand under cross-examination? Something to think about. Can your church testimony stand under cross-examination? See, you got people, that's all they live for. Saturday and Sunday, go to different churches and they give the same testimony. Why? Ain't nobody gonna cross-examine them. People, clap, oh my God. And then sometimes if you don't get the kind of reaction you would, you're gonna embellish it a little bit when you get to the next church. Because you're gonna get some amens. And I remember one time I was listening to Pastor Hodge, and he was sharing a little bit about some conversations that he had had with his son, because he didn't want his son growing up like he grew up. And he was real honest with him, and I loved it, because at the end of it, he said, man, we've heard some pretty outstanding testimonies. I mean, folks that come from the depths of society. But he said, the best testimony really is, hey, I heard his teachings and instructions, and I decided that's the way I want to go. That's the best testimony. That's the best testimony. Now, I know, I sold drugs for 50 years, and I killed 40 people. I know. But see, those, But what about the young person that had the privilege of hearing that and said, well, that's what I want. I choose that. And their parents didn't, because a lot of us used to kind of get coached. I know I got kind of coached just to get baptized. I kind of wanted to do it, but my mom, they going to get on up there, boy. And then when I go, Arthur got to go. I'm like, well, hey. But I'm just saying, that's really the best. Hey, man, I read what he said. And I decided, hey, let's do it your way, Father. Now, I know a lot of us, that's not our testimony, at least not in here, those of us that really know each other. You ain't going to get that one in here. Now, you might go somewhere else and give what I just gave, but you ain't going to get that in here, because you will get cross-examined. Not publicly. Wait a minute, hold it. Come on now. The first to state his case seems right till the other one comes and cross-examines. Now look at here, this one. Casting lots puts an end to strife. Now wait a minute. Why would they put that in there? Casting lots, that sounds like gambling. That sounds like the lottery. And, folks, it was written that they cast lots for Messiah's garments. That's what was recorded. Did it really happen? I don't know, but that's what was recorded. Casting lots puts an end to strife and separates powerful disputants. That's interesting. Now, see, a verse like this is something that I use because a lot of times people, Barry, do you think Christians ought to be playing the lottery? I'm like, why do you care what I think about that? Some of the questions we ask people, I'm like, man, with all of what's going on, that's the best you got? I don't know, go ask your pastor. What are you asking me that for? But if you win, I'll take some. Oh, boy. It is harder to win an offended brother than a strong city. Their fights are like the bars of a fortress. See, now we'll hear that and we'll say an offended brother. Well, you could also put in there, in his offense, maybe we crushed his spirit. Perhaps. Maybe that wasn't our intent, but that's the result. You know, I've given the example a lot. You drop a bowling ball on my foot. You didn't mean to do it, but it still hurts. It still hurts. Well, Brad, you gotta forgive me. What if you do it again? Do I get to drop the ball on your foot so that you'll know what I felt? It's harder to win an offended brother than a strong city. Now remember, they didn't say it's impossible. They just said it's more difficult. You got to try a little harder. You got to be a little more real and set some of the church stuff aside and just look them in the face and say, listen, this is me and you talking. Ain't nobody else here. I wronged you, brother. Now, we're going to try to make this right. What can I do? Now, if they tell you dry up and die, and some people might. Some people, you go to them and you're trying to make, they might, look, just, I can't stand the sight of you. You might get that response. And my advice to you at that point, do what they say. If a person tells you, create some space between us, please don't keep coming forward. Because that may be the extent of their grace. I know you're not supposed to say that in church. Listen, I'm talking real life. Don't force your way into a situation because it could turn even uglier. And again, but the words say, I got to try to win my brother back. Yes, but use wisdom in doing so. If the guy tells me, Barry, if I see you again, I'm going to punch you in your face, I'm going to take heed. Whether I think I can take him or not. And see, as believers, we got to start, but that's not what the words say. Listen, right now, you need to leave. Have any of you ever been put out somebody's house? Or any of you been asked to leave? Don't raise your hand. I'm just saying, I want you to think about this. The respectful thing to do is comply. Not, well, wait a minute, hold it. What you putting me out for? Yeah, but that's how some of us are. We can't believe that. I'm not going to say who it was, but one of the deacons shared a situation like that with me. He said it was very embarrassing. And I asked him, I said, well, man, what did you do? He said, I left. He said, I don't know why they wanted me to leave, but I couldn't stay in their home. They were at a dinner party. Now, that's embarrassing. But he did the wise thing. He left. He didn't break out. I'm the righteousness of God, and you can't talk to me. He didn't go. He didn't come out with all of that. I'm not saying you can't win an offended brother. The word is saying it's harder to win him. Are you willing to go the extra mile? But again, use wisdom. Don't I know you really don't mean it. No, if they said that, a very wise woman told us, when people show you who they are, believe them. No, you don't mean that. What did they just say? Listen to this, and this one is good. A person's belly will be filled with the fruit of his mouth. With what his lips produce, he will be filled. And then the one we all know, the tongue has power over life and death. But we all know, life and death is in the power of the tongue. But I like this better. The tongue has power over life and death. Those who indulge in it must eat its fruit. That's why even the world said, make your words sweet because you may have to eat them. Even the world got that much sense. The world. Even the other part of creation is a more accurate way to put it. Got that much sense. The world. They different from us. Oh, really? What's the difference? Well, they ain't with God. Oh, really? But they're still here. Yeah, but they not in the family. Oh, really? Who told you were to decide? What group of men got together and decided who's in and who's not? That's the maker's job, if we can even put it that way. What? The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. He who finds a wife finds a great good. He has won the favor of Yah. He who finds a wife finds a great good. He has won the favor of Yah. Listen at this now. The poor man speaks beseechingly, but the rich man's answer is blunt. Now again, I've shared with you all that a lot of times the way this was written in a lot of other translations, it always kind of painting the rich people as kind of mean, kind of selfish, kind of crooked. That's how they got rich. They cheated somebody. Why do everyday people, why do we think that about people that have wealth? Why do we think that? The poor man speaks beseechingly. Now that's probably, that's making you, listen. I beseech you therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable. Okay, yes, I get that. But here the poor man speaks that way because he's in search of something. Now, if that guy had asked me, what if that guy had got mad, which he didn't? What if he had got mad when I told him I don't smoke? And he said, well, you might not smoke, but you got that. Give me one of them bottles of water, boy. Now, that would have got a totally different response. He would have got a bottle of water, but it would have been upside his head because I would have thrown it at him. Now, I would have been wrong for doing that. But the way he asked for the water, I was ready to give him my truck and everything else. So what I'm trying to get you to see is that a person in want or a person in need, they're going to approach you in the right manner. And here when it says the rich, the rich man's answer is blunt. Let me say this, and I'm not making excuses. I'm not making excuses. But I know sometimes when you are in the presence of people that are very influential, they don't have a lot of time for small talk. For them, time is money. Now, hear me all the way out. Many of us are blunt about some things. Money just doesn't happen to be one of them. But when it comes to our faith, what we call our faith, when it comes to maybe our church, or the way we interpret Scripture, we pretty blunt too, and to the point. And at that moment, you're thinking, man, I don't have a lot of time for this, but hey, I'm going to cut to the chase. It's this, and this. And then you get there and you say, well, I told them what they needed to know. Any of you ever watch Shark Tank? Now, a lot of those people come in and they have, a lot of ideas about how to start a business and things of this nature. And some of those people they're very nice and kind to the people. But this guy, Mr. Wonderful, people think he's mean, but he's really not being mean. He's just telling you, how are you going to market this? He gets to the point because you're there because you want money. You want them to invest in your business. And even some of the other wealthy people, they get on him sometime. Did you have to be that blunt? He said, well, yeah. And then he said something. He said, I don't want to waste my time, but I don't want to waste their time either. See, not everybody that's blunt and to the point is being mean. See, sometimes some people waste your time, and they will spend all of your money if you let them. So just because somebody's blunt doesn't necessarily mean they're being mean. They're just cutting to the chase. Because sometimes, saints, we wait too long. And then when we choose a pick, What? Oh, geez. Well, I thought I was doing the right thing. In a word, no, you didn't. Well, that was mean. No. The poor man speaks beseechingly. The rich man's answer is blunt. I was watching a Barney Miller. I like the old shows. And they had this guy. He was a former stockbroker. And this was during the time when the Wall Street was going haywire. And he said he was coming home, going to catch the train to come home. And he reached in his pocket and he realized he didn't even have any money for the train fare. You know, and on Wall Street, you can make $1 million, but you can lose $1 million like that. Stock market's not for everybody. It really isn't. But stay on point. So he turned to a stranger and he asked the stranger for enough to get a ticket. And of course, the stranger gave it to him because he was still, he was dressed. He had his, probably about a $1,500, $2,500 suit, So the guy gave him the thing, and then he realized, he says, man, that was easy. So for 2 years, he was a panhandler. He had got these tattered clothes, and one of the officers had arrested him. Why did he arrest him? Because he was, Wojo arrested him because he was out panhandling for money. And I guess he was in a zone where he wasn't supposed to be doing it, so they ran him in. Here's the crux of the matter. He never told his wife and family that he hadn't been a stockbroker for about 2 years. They had some other property. He sold all of that, and he was maintaining the household with the proceeds from that. So he calls his Wojo. One of the detectives said, well, you get to make a call. So the guy, he dressed like a beggar now. He calls his home, and he starts arguing with his wife, and the arresting officer is sitting at his desk writing up the report. He wasn't eavesdropping until he heard the guy say, leave the children with the maid and come down here. So he's like, wait a minute, this guy dressed like a beggar. And so when he hung the phone up, Wojo said, did I just hear you say? He said, well, yeah. So his wife comes, and of course, she's used to privileged. Why is my husband in there? She looks at him, why are you dressed like that? So then he tells her the whole story. And he says, don't say it like, but he says, I'm a beggar. She said, what? And so then he turns on her. Well, you wouldn't understand. You've lived a life of privilege. Well, he helped finance it. So she went down, and I, got this bail ticket, and he walked out, and he said, have any of you known what it's like out there on Wall Street? It's dog eat dog out there. And it is. It's tough out there. It really is. But he buttoned his coat. His stomach was so big because he still was eating good. And he went on out there. But I'm trying to show you that he was able. Wojo had some gum, and the guy wanted the gum. And again, he was beseeching the way he asked Wojo for, oh, please, I haven't eaten all day. He was telling a story, but see, some people, when they have a need or want, they know how to get to you. They know how to look. They know how to hold their head in their hands. And they can look so pious. Folks, a lot of people are excellent actors and actresses. Now, again, I'm not telling you all this not to help people. But don't stress yourself out. You can't save all of Petersburg. Some of us still working on our own households. But don't get all bummed out. Don't do that. You'll make yourself sick. Don't do that. But keep in mind, every time you read something, I don't care what translation it is, the rich people aren't always bad. The poor people aren't always virtuous. Keep that in mind. And get other translations, because the more different translations you get, it broadens your perspective of what it is trying to be conveyed to you. Because see, we've been taught having money is wrong. But in this country, without it, you're going to have a hard time. Stimulus money getting ready to get cut off. Credit card limits getting ready to get lowered. If you got a loan with your bank and you got one of those kind where you can just keep a running, you get an amount and you can just, if you want to, this is just advice, I'm not a financial advisor, cash that thing out and put it in your personal account, because a lot of banks are going to be doing something between now and the end of the year. And I don't care if you got an 835 credit score. It's getting ready to get rough, folks. It's getting ready to get rough. But I'm just informing. I'm not spreading fear. But again, I told you, I'm tired of our people not knowing what's coming down the pipe. You heard it here. The last one, I see it, 2 minutes. Oh, 2 seconds. Okay, I'm going to close after this, Reg. Bear with me. I will. It says, some friends pretend to be friends, but a true friend sticks closer than a brother. And we all could use some real friends nowadays. God bless you. Pastor, will you come?